Today was a day packed with excitement, surprises, and drama during the qualifying session for the Singapore Grand Prix. If you're passionate about Formula One and want to stay up to date with everything happening on and off the track, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming race details and the most in-depth analyses in the world of motorsport. Lando Norris shines in Singapore, his sixth pole of the year. Today's qualifying session was a spectacle, and the undisputed star was Lando Norris, who secured his sixth pole position of the season and his fifth this year. The British McLaren driver once again showcased his talent and ability to perform under pressure, outpacing the favorites on a street circuit as technical and demanding as Marina Bay. Singapore is known for being one of the most challenging tracks on the calendar, with its narrow streets and tight corners requiring maximum concentration from the drivers. Norris, however, seemed to flow with the track from the start, posting impressive times during practice sessions that already hinted at a stellar performance in qualifying. In Q3, when it mattered the most, Norris kept his cool and set a stunning lap time of 1 minute and 41.752 seconds, securing the top spot on the grid. For Norris, this weekend has been almost perfect so far. Since free practice, the Briton has been among the fastest, demonstrating that McLaren is in top form for the streets of Singapore. Although the Woking-based team has had ups and downs this season, they seem to have found the right balance to compete at the highest level on this type of track, and Norris is determined to seize every opportunity. However, the real challenge will come tomorrow during the race, when he'll have to face the relentless Red Bull and Mercedes teams, who, despite starting further back, are always a threat in race conditions. It's important to remember that although Norris has secured several poles this season, he's only managed to convert one into a victory, raising the question of whether he can finally capitalize on his strong showing in Singapore. The pressure will be on his shoulders when the lights go out tomorrow. Max Verstappen doesn't give up, from struggles to second place. But while Norris was the big winner of the day, the fact that Max Verstappen qualified second cannot be overlooked. The Dutchman, reigning world champion and championship leader, started the weekend with some issues. Red Bull seemed off the pace, struggling to find the right balance in the car. Verstappen even expressed his frustration after the initial practice sessions, saying he didn't feel comfortable with the car's performance in Singapore. However, Verstappen's brilliance shone through when he needed it most. Although he wasn't the dominant driver we're used to seeing, he managed to deliver his best in Q3, pulling out a lap that secured him second place, just 0.112 seconds behind Norris' time. This performance underscores Verstappen's ability to fight under any circumstances, regardless of the issues his car might face over the weekend. Despite McLaren's apparent superiority in earlier sessions, Red Bull and its brightest star are more than ready to fight. The big question for Verstappen will be whether he can maintain this level of performance during the race. The Singapore street circuit is notoriously difficult for overtaking, but history has shown that Max is a master at capitalizing on any opportunity that comes his way. If he gets a good start, he could seriously challenge Norris, especially if McLaren shows any weakness in the opening laps or if tire degradation becomes a factor. Moreover, we mustn't forget that Verstappen is in the middle of securing his third consecutive world championship. Though he has a comfortable lead in the driver's standings, any mistake at this stage of the season could complicate his title bid. He likely won't take unnecessary risks, but if he sees a chance to add another victory to his already impressive tally, he won't hesitate. Mercedes in the mix, Hamilton and Russell ready to attack. Behind the two main contenders, the Mercedes cars of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell also had a solid qualifying session, securing third and fourth places, respectively. After a season full of ups and downs for the German team, this performance in Singapore gives them hope of competing for a podium finish, or even a victory, if the circumstances play out in their favor. Hamilton, the seven-time world champion, continues to prove why he is one of the greatest drivers in history. Despite not having the fastest car on the grid, his experience and ability to extract the maximum from his vehicle have placed him in a very competitive position for tomorrow's race. Starting from third, Hamilton could be the big beneficiary if something happens between Norris and Verstappen at the start, and he's already made it clear that he won't settle for the third step on the podium. Meanwhile, George Russell continues to show that he has the talent to compete at the highest level. Although he was slightly slower than his teammate in qualifying, starting from 4th place gives him a good shot at fighting for the podium. Russell has been steadily improving at Mercedes, and with each race, he seems more in tune with the car and the team. If he can avoid trouble on the first lap, he'll be a serious contender throughout the race. Carlos Sainz and Ferrari. From hope to disaster. One of the most shocking moments of qualifying was Carlos Sainz's crash in Q3. The Spanish driver, who had arrived in Singapore with high hopes of competing for top positions, lost control of his Ferrari in the penultimate corner of the circuit and slammed into the wall. The crash not only ended his chances of a good qualifying result, but also triggered a red flag, halting the session for several minutes. The accident was a severe blow to Ferrari, who had hoped Sainz could replicate his win from last year in Singapore. However, it seems the car didn't respond as the Madrid driver had expected, especially in Q3 when track conditions began to shift slightly and the tires didn't reach the proper temperature. These kinds of incidents can be devastating for a driver's confidence, and it will be interesting to see how Sainz recovers from this setback in tomorrow's race. It's still uncertain whether Ferrari will need to make major repairs to Sainz's car, which could result in grid penalties. However, even if he retains his 10th starting position, tomorrow's race will be an uphill battle for the Spaniard, who will have to fight with a damaged car and a compromised strategy. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, didn't have an easy day either. Although he initially posted a competitive time in Q3, his lap was disqualified for exceeding track limits, relegating him to 9th place. For Ferrari, qualifying has been a complete disaster, and they'll need to work hard to regain ground during the race. Fernando Alonso, the master of consistency. Despite Aston Martin's recent performance drop, Fernando Alonso continues to impress with his ability to extract every ounce of performance from his car. The Spaniard qualified 7th, outpacing drivers in theoretically faster cars, like Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Alonso has undoubtedly been one of the standout drivers of the season, showing that at 42 years old, he remains one of the most complete and competitive drivers on the grid. His performance in Singapore once again demonstrated his talent, especially considering that his teammate, Lance Stroll, was knocked out in Q1 with a disappointing 17th place. Aston Martin's car has clearly been underperforming in recent weeks, but that hasn't stopped Alonso, who seems determined to continue defying expectations. Tomorrow, Alonso will have the chance to score valuable points and possibly move up the order if the drivers ahead make mistakes. Singapore Street Circuit is a place where experience and cunning play a crucial role, and there's no one more experienced in that than Fernando Alonso. If he gets a good start and manages his tires well, it wouldn't be surprising to see him fighting for a top 5 finish. What to expect in tomorrow's race? With Norris and Verstappen on the front row, tomorrow's race in Singapore promises to be one of the most exciting of the season. Lando Norris has a great chance to close the gap on Verstappen, but the Dutchman will never make it easy. Additionally, with Hamilton and Russell lurking behind, and the unpredictable tire strategy always playing a crucial role in Singapore, anything can happen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the post-race analysis and news.